Hi everyone and welcome to a new video. In this video I'll be going through my Princess Jasmine costume. Also, just by the way, if you are new here, my name is Alicia Estelle. Hello. I make fantasy costumes and cosplays and mainly sewing based things, so if you are interested in any of that, feel free to subscribe below and also check out my Instagram and my website as well. If you do want to know the full detailed making of process, I have a playlist up on YouTube already about that, so you can follow along for the full journey of making this complete costume from start to finish. I'll link that playlist in the cards above and also in the description box below. So let's start with the bodice. The bodice is actually based on a corset foundation structure. So I did draft my own corset pattern based on an online tutorial I found. That online tutorial is no longer available, but I do have my corset pattern that I drafted for myself available on my website if you wish to have a look into that. And basically I drafted that and I made it using cotton drill and cable ties as boning. I then hand sewed eyelets all down the back of the corset, and I just laced that up using regular lacing for corsets. At the moment I just have some random rope used as lacing because my actual corset lacing is in some of my other costumes because this one hasn't been worn in a couple of years. So with the corset structure, once that was built, I removed the cup portion of the corset and replaced that with a push-up bra, just cheap push-up bra, and I hand sewed along the underwire of that push-up bra to form this shape because it's a very prominent bust area and then a very flat and restricted torso area. So that was the understructure for the bodice, and then I created the bodice on top of that. And I created the bodice separately first and then mounted it to the corset, just hand sewing it that way. But I created the bodice separately and I did that all by machine, or at least as much as I possibly could. And so that was this whole main portion of the bodice that I could do by machine. But then when it came to the cup area, this really did rely on a lot of hand stitching and hand sewing to mount those pieces of fabric to the bra cups. So the bodice is made from various synthetic fabrics. I did have to dye these fabrics to achieve the right colour. I'm not sure the exact fabric names because this is before I paid any attention to what fabrics I was buying, and still to this day I don't really pay attention to what fabrics I'm buying. As long as I like the colour of it and I like the texture and the weight and it works for what I need it to do, then I'm going to purchase it. So that's the teal fabric that I had to dye and make sure was the right colour. Whereas the nude fabric, this is actually a synthetic fabric with a layer of chiffon over the top, and this is a bit of a textured chiffon, and it really helps to create additional depth to the costume, which I like. It also helps to make it match my skin tone a little bit better, so it suits me. So for the back of the bodice, you can see that we've got the snap poppers here for where the cape attaches, and the top portion of the back bodice I've completely closed shut permanently because I'm able to get that over top of my head quite fine. Whereas in the screen accurate version, I think they just made this a lace up back so they could adjust and get it over her head, where I've just permanently closed that. Down here you can see the zip, which covers the corset lacing. Obviously if this was on a human, this would be laced up and you can squash human flesh where you can't really squish a mannequin. And you can also see the insides of the bodice here. If I just open this up, you can see that I've actually flat-lined the bodice pieces with cotton to give it a bit more structure and make it a bit more easier to work with. I've put cotton tape all along the bottom edge, and you can see that there's just a lot of stitching going on, but that's all part of the process and the learning process. So the bodice is attached to the corset at the side seams, so you can see that will not move because that's completely hand sewn down along that side seam. and all along the front that whole bodice is completely attached and mounted to the corset. The zipper that I've used is a jacket zipper, so that's one of the zippers that can be undone at the bottom, and then you can pull it back together and zip it up. This doesn't fit my dress form, but it would fit on me if I wore it. But it's a bit hard to demonstrate on myself, so on the dress form it stays. I did some top stitching along the zip on the outside just to make sure that that stays neatly, somewhat covering the zip, but when I wear this I do generally have longer hair with a wig, so that covers the back portion of the costume anyway. And also remember, I do wear this with a cape, so the cape drapes over the back, and so I don't really care what the back looks like, to be honest. So that's why the back is just zipped up and it's a bit dodgy, but it works. So going through the details on the bodice, we have various trims, so various gold trims. Some of these were able to be hand sewn on, so the soutache braid that is along the shoulders and also along the top of the waistband, that was able to be hand sewn, whereas I think all of the other trims had to be glued on because they were just much too stiff to actually hand sew through. So I've got gold trim going, a small gold trim going along the top part of the bust, a thicker one at the bottom part of the bust. That same thick one is this diagonal, and then all of the thin ones are used elsewhere on the bodice. And then finally just a really thick gold trim along the waistline of the bodice. Then on top of that I applied beaded trim, so this is beaded metal trim. I've got a really tiny one that goes through, goes along the top portion of the bust, also along the shoulder as well. And then the larger beaded trim is along the bottom portion of the bust and along the waistline. Then there's just a unique trim that goes down the center of the bodice, and I don't think I used that anywhere else on the bodice, so that's just down the center. Along the main diagonal gold part, I just added some leftover gold ribbon, which is from when I made these peacock feathers for the pants and cape. Just had some leftovers, so I used that for there. There's a few more things. So I did cut off some pieces of jewellery that I bought from eBay, and I just put that in the centre of the bodice, so up the top and at the bottom. And then these two leaf pieces were from an op shop. I think they were just stolen from some hair clips. So ripped off the back of those hair clips and painted those to match the jewellery and stuck those on. And then that's just a random piece from the jewellery set that I bought as well. So that's everything. Then we've got the little rhinestones, or AB crystals, which are just stuck on all over at various points to emulate the screen version. Just, I guess, a few things to mention. I've got the sleeves here, which were just added and hand sewn down, and that's just a dyed tulle. I hand sewed all of the beaded trim down. I did not glue that, just to make sure that that's extra secure. And yeah, I'm not sure that there's anything else to mention on the bodice, but if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments below. So next we'll move on to the pants. So the pants are made up from, let me shift over to this side so I can pull the free leg out. So the pants are made up from a whole load of fabric. There is a lot of fabric in here. But basically the base layer is made from a cotton lawn, so that means that the cotton lawn is against my skin, and I'm not being scratched up by this organza fabric or anything like that. So basically for the whole costume, I've made sure that whatever's closest to my skin is cotton, and therefore I won't feel itchy or uncomfortable while wearing it. So there is cotton, it's a cotton corset. All of the bodice pieces are flat lined with cotton lawn, and the the little singlet that I wear underneath the bodice is also just a nice lightweight cotton. And then obviously the pants here are cotton as well, but I generally wear shorts or tights underneath this anyway. So we've got a cotton layer for the base of the pants, and then there's a layer of organza, and that provides a bit of the poofiness. And then on top of that, I've got the main fashion fabric, which you can actually see here, which is just like a very floaty. It's somewhat floaty, but it's very opaque. It's not transparent at all. But this is what I call the main fashion fabric, and this is the fabric that I had to dye to get the right color. And then on top of that, the final layer is this organza, which I also dyed to achieve the right color. So that's all the layers in the pants, and we'll probably get a better look at it if I turn this around. Let me turn around too. So I'm actually going to unzip this bodice for now, so we can take a closer look at the pants. So like I said, the top layer is this organza, and that's closed with one hook and eye, just a small hook and eye. Then the next layer is the main fashion layer, which was the silky synthetic fabric that I had to dye to achieve this color, and that attaches with a skirt hook and bar as well as a small hook and eye. So there's two of those. Then the next layer under that is this is romance organza, so that provides that poofy shape underneath the main fabric, and that's mounted to the cotton lawn layer, so you can see that those are attached together, and that is secured with a hook and bar, actually two hooks and bars, so two skirt hooks and bars, which help with that. And all along the top of the pants, all along the waistline, I've done my best to like get rid of the raw edges by using bias tape or binding just along the top. And all of that is covered off by the bodice anyway, so it doesn't matter that it doesn't match the pants. So the pants I constructed I did follow a YouTube video, which I'll also link in the description box below. It's basically circle skirt, but circle pants. So they're quite slim towards the waist, and then they flare out as much as you want them to, really, along the ankle, along the hem. So that's what I did to really achieve that shape and that volume at the bottom. And then I just gathered everything into the bottom, into that ankle. So you can see that that's really not the nicest sewing job, but it does the job, and it serves its purpose. And yeah, that's the ankle. As for the details on the pants, I've got sequin fabric, so gold sequin fabric patches to form the outer teardrop shape, and then the dark blue sequin fabric for the inner teardrop shape, and then all of the gold like strokes or feathers, that's all just gold ribbon, and that's all that's all machine sewn down to the pants. And then all of the little AB crystals, all the rhinestones, those were just glued one by one individually all over the pants, just to give that extra sparkle. So the cape is made from the same organza fabric that's used on the outside of the pants, and then for the middle part of the cape, this is chiffon fabric, and it already had the little gold sparkle detail throughout it. I just dyed it to make it a bit more teal, because originally that was a white fabric. And at the top, this is the same fabric that's used for the bodice, and I just attached plastic snap poppers to that and painted the outside of them gold with acrylic paint, and these just snap onto the bodice like so. Snap, 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 snap. And that is how the cape attaches. There is no pattern for the cape. I just cut out giant shapes and rounded them out like so, and that is really it for the cape. How that was done in terms of the pattern. I used, I think they are called lapped seams. I used lapped seams to get rid of the raw edges for where I sewed the organza and chiffon together. And along the bottom it's just a simple rolled hem, and that works fine. And then I've also attached little finger loops so I can put my fingers through those, and that extends the cape out like so. So that's basically the cape. Again, the same feather details were applied, like what was done to the pants. So we've got the gold sequin fabric, the dark blue sequin fabric, and then the ribbon, which was all sewn down. The only difference is that on the inside of the cape, if I turn this around, the inside of the cape, I obviously couldn't do the same thing, so what I ended up doing was putting glue all over here, painting the teal. I had acrylic paint which was teal coloured, painted that middle section, painted the outer section with gold acrylic paint, and then it was nice and sticky and gluey, and I just went crazy with a lot of glitter. So all of this is literally glitter glued onto the fabric. So when I put this costume in storage, sometimes I find that the cape tends to stick together on the inside, so I just have to be careful with that. But that's what I came up with as a solution, and I really do like the effect. It is just a little bit messy, and it was a lot of work to do this inside part. And then you can also see that all along the cape I've got those AB rhinestone crystals glued on throughout. And I made sure that whatever was glued on the outside, I made sure to have one that matches on the inside as well, just so I'm not left with any like weird black spots where there isn't a matching AB crystal on both sides of the cape. Okay, so as for Jasmine's accessories, she is a princess, so of course she's got to have a lot of jewels and lots of things to adorn her. So we have the necklace. So the necklace came with 2 earrings in a set, which I bought from eBay, and they were actually the wrong colour, so I ended up painting all the pendants that teal colour, and that's just with acrylic paint as well as some sparkly pigment, and that's what that is. And you would have seen on the bodice I actually got 2 sets of these jewellery sets, so I could use the other pendants on the bodice. So I've got the pendant on the top and the bottom of the bodice. That's the jewellery, and then we've also got some hair accessories. So the tiara is made from EVA foam, and there's just 2 plastic combs that are glued to the inside of it, and so it just slots into my hair like so. Oops. And there are just some like little details stuck on all along the outside of the tiara, so little jewels and hair clip jewel decoration things, EVA foam, some chain from the jewellery, and then some like AB crystals and rhinestones, and that's the tiara. As well as the tiara, there are these 3 hair tie covers, and these again are made from EVA foam and painted with gold acrylic paint and then bedazzled with little AB crystal rhinestones and little beads. Then there's just cotton tape, black cotton tape to match with my hair, hot glued to the inside, so that can just be tied around my hair ties when my hair is all done up. The next hair accessory is this veil with little hair clips. So the hair clips look like this, and those just clip into my hair. along with the chiffon which makes up the veil. And then all along the chiffon fabric, the little AB crystal rhinestones have again been glued on. And this just sits in your hair like this. Don't know if you can see that, but essentially that's how that sits into the hair. And then it really nicely flows into the cape, because the cape is also chiffon down the back. And then there's just a little slit cut in the middle of this veil, so her hair can be seen through it. And a few more details and accessories. I've got these little peacock earrings, which my sister found at an op shop, and I have these alongside, I have these with this costume in particular, because, well, these are much lighter than the other earrings that I just showed. So when it's a very long con day and I am wearing this outfit, I tend to wear my other earrings when I'm like up on stage or for photos and things, but then just generally around the convention I'll just swap them out for these lighter weight peacock earrings, and they still work with the costume. Since Jasmine's pants don't have any pockets, that was before I considered putting pockets in them, and also with the organza layer on the top, I'm just not sure how to add pockets to the pants, especially now that it's done anyway, so I'm not going to touch it. I did make a matching bag, and this was completely hand sewn because it was at a time that I didn't have a sewing machine. So this is made from just a cotton fabric and then chiffon fabric layered over the top, and I was very lucky to find the exact shade of teal that matches my outfit, because I didn't actually have to dye this fabric at all, and yeah, it's great. I've just got rope used as a drawstring for this bag, and then I also have some details on the bottom, so just some decorative rope hand sewn down to the bottom, and then this little thing. And yeah, the full bag is lined with cotton on the inside. I don't really want to show you inside too much because it's quite dirty, but there you go. That's what the inside looks like, and this was completely hand sewn, so that just goes to show that you don't need a sewing machine for smaller things like this if you just want to hand sew, but for something like this, yes, you need a sewing machine. That's the bag that I put all my essentials in. So con essentials, bobby pins, safety pins, and band-aids, I would say. Speaking of band-aids are most useful for your feet because your feet get very sore and might get blistered. And speaking of that, I should get out my shoes. So these are the shoes that I wear with Jasmine as well as some of my other princess cosplays. And these shoes were just $12 from Famous Footwear. And they work really well. So just nice flat sandals. I like my toes covered, and they are a nice rose gold tone, I would say, so they work with a lot of princess outfits. But I would highly suggest wearing flat shoes at a con, or anything. If you can get away with wearing flat shoes, try wear flat shoes because they will save your feet. Just quickly on hair and makeup, I generally wear a wig. So this is the wig, all wrapped up. So this is a wig that I wear for a lot of my cosplays. So at the moment it's just brushed out nicely like this, and what I would do is I would slip this over my head. I wouldn't bother putting my own hair up or anything, I'll just leave my hair natural. Slip this over my head and it will stop about halfway onto my head, and then I'll just bobby pin it in place. So then that way my front pieces of my hair are still showing and it looks a lot more natural that way, and this just provides a bit more length so I can work with this to do the actual hairstyle for Jasmine. So the hairstyle for Jasmine is basically 3 hair ties, and I'll just go one there, one here, and maybe one is up here, and then I'll just attach these little hair tie covers over the top of each of those hair ties. And I tend to just have some face framing layers in the front because I like the look of that. And then obviously the tiara sits in the front and the veil sits at the back, and then the the rest of the hairstyle shows through the slit in the veil. So that's basically it, I think. Makeup wise, I just do whatever makeup I feel like on the day. I always wing it with makeup. I am no makeup expert whatsoever, but I do believe that makeup makes or breaks a costume or cosplay. So would highly suggest doing makeup so you really feel into the character. Okay, so that's it for the Jasmine costume. Thank you all so much for watching. Just wanted to direct you to where you may want to go next. So like I said, I've got my website with the bodice pattern as well as the tiara and all the hair accessories. I also have the Jasmine guidebook if you want to know all of the specific links for all of the different supplies and materials. Well, not all of them, just the ones that are a bit more particular to find, because I did spend a lot of time searching for all of the beaded trims, the metal trims and the gold trims. So all of those sorts of things you can find on that Jasmine guidebook. And then I have my Instagram if you want to see finished pictures of this costume, although this was completed two years ago. Sorry, 3 years ago. 3 years ago now, so you'd have to scroll back quite far. But if you want to see like finished pictures, just head over to my website and I've got a portfolio page on there where you can see all of the pictures for this specific costume. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else to mention. Let me think. Website, Instagram, guidebook. Oh, I also have a progress photo journal, which I literally completed the other week, and that's on my website as well. So if you want to see the picture progress through pictures, you can have a look at that. I did spend a lot of time putting that one together, so that one is available on my website as well. I think that is all for now. Thank you again for watching, and if you want to see any more of my stuff, just head over to my socials. Until next time, stay creative.